Hello and welcome to this presentation, which will cover the information that umpires will need to know as Massachusetts switches from using official baseball rules of Major League Baseball to federation rules for the spring 2021 season. We have used several websites to help facilitate this presentation. The presentation is broken into several parts to help present the changes that Massachusetts high school baseball umpires must learn to administer games starting in the spring of 2021. More than half of the rule differences are administrative, and while they must be equally enforced, they are rules that umpires don't have to enforce in the middle of action. The vast majority of what umpires need to know is not changing. Balls and strikes are still the same, as well as safe and out and fair and foul calls. Umpires that have learned these skills should comfortably be able to adjust to changes that the NFHS, also known as the Federation, rules will present. Massachusetts already uses the Federation rules for substitution and several other rules. The first rule we'll get into is batting rule differences. Check swing. Check swing appeals. As you can see in the video to the right, the umpire does not have to check with his partner on check swings. If he feels that the call stands, he can stay with that call. Rectifying situations. You change to a strike, runner stealing, think it was ball 4, or batter trotting to first base. You can rectify those situations because the runners were in peril. Only applies if the call change puts them in jeopardy. Backswing follow through. As you watch the video to the right, the rule in the Federation is the batter shall not interfere with the catcher's fielding or throwing, including follow through interference. Swing and a miss in the follow through contacts catcher, the batter is out, runners return unless runner is retired and interference is ignored. The penalty for that, with less than 2 outs, the runner on third attempts to steal home. The batter swings and misses the pitch for strike 2. On the follow through, his bat releases and strikes F2 in the face mask. The ruling in that situation is the ball is dead and R3 is declared out. With 2 outs, the batter is declared out. Abandoning runner running after missed third strike, Rule 741. F2 drops the third strike. Batter 1 starts towards the dugout, and F2, the catcher, does not throw to first. B1, the batter runner, then makes a quick dash to first base. The ruling in that scenario is if the catcher does not throw to first, he risks failure to put out the batter. However, batter shall be declared out for failure to attempt to reach first if he does not reach the base before the time of the next pitch, he reaches his bench or dugout area, or the half inning is ended because the infielders have left the diamond. So the difference here is it's no longer the circle. He has all the way up until the dugout to make his dart over to first base. Batting out of order that ends a half inning, 7-1-2. If a player has batted out of order and there has been a third out of a half inning, the defensive team must appeal the batting out of order situation before their infielders leave fair territory. If they don't do so, the player who had batted out of order becomes legal. The next time that team comes up to bat, the batting order picks up with the player who is listed after the legalized batter. The batter's box rule. If the pitcher with a runner on base stops or hesitates in his delivery, because the batter steps out of the box, A, with 1 foot, B, with 2 feet, or he holds up his hand to request time, it's not a balk. As in official baseball rules, the same holds where both the batter and the pitcher violated the rule. Stays pretty much the same in this scenario with a little caveat towards the end, and we'll get there. In A and C, there's no penalty on either the batter or the pitcher. The umpire just call time and start the play over again. In B, a strike shall be called on the batter for the violation. In A, B, and C, if the pitcher follows through and legally delivers the pitch, it shall be called a strike and the ball remains live. Thus, 2 strikes are called on the batter in situation B. So, in situation B, you can bang him with a strike right off the bat, and if the pitcher follows through and it's a strike, if it follows through, regardless, it can be called a strike. So now you have 2 strikes. The umpire judges that batter action to be deliberate attempt to create a balk, he will penalize according to 331. Call time or use any command or commit any act of purpose of causing a balk. Apologize. Go ahead. Obstruction. Always a delayed dead ball. On conclusion of action, kill the ball and award bases to nullify the obstruction, but minimum 1 base beyond the point of obstruction. If the obstruction happens on a pickoff with the runner going back into the base, the runner will be awarded the next base. If the obstruction happens at the base the runner is attempting to reach, the 1 base award would be the base the runner is going to. So if he's going into second, and he hasn't gotten there yet, he gets second. He won't get third. Official baseball rules allow tossing the glove or mitt in which a ball is lodged for purpose of making a play. This is not allowed in the Federation rules. As you can see in the video on the right, the plate umpire will declare the ball dead and award the batter runner second base. When F1 tossed his fielding glove to F3 to put out the batter runner, it became apparent that the ball was lodged and the ball becomes dead and the award is made. That's Rule 829, and there's a table there for that. Fake tag without the ball. We all know in some leagues they have a fake tag rule. This is the rule in the Federation as well. If you look here in the video here, Derek Jeter will pretend that he's coming across the bag to initiate a double play, forcing the runner to slide. That is also considered an obstruction in this scenario. Catch and carry out of play. There is no catch and carry in Federation. If a fielder steps into dead ball territory with both feet or falls in dead ball territory, you have an immediate dead ball and base awards 1 base. This is starting to become common. College went to it a couple years ago. Major League Baseball always had it. There was always that caveat in high school baseball because there were no fences. Now the area that is declared out of play, players cannot have their momentum bringing them into that. Player positions on the field. Minimum of 1 foot in fair territory at time of pitch. Penalty is an illegal pitch. The ball is dead immediately when an illegal pitch occurs. If there are no runners, a ball is awarded to the batter. If there is a runner, it's a balk. In both situations, you will call a dead ball. The first base First baseman can hold the runner with 1 foot in foul territory, bringing back the old, eliminating the old Keith Hernandez rule, the old first baseman for the Mets and Cardinals, who they put that rule in to ban because he, as a lefty, he had his glove right at the bag when he would catch it. If the catcher or any other fielder uses their equipment, mask or hat, to field or touch a pitched ball, the award is 2 bases. So when we say equipment, the glove does not matter. So if you're using a hat or a mask, they will award 2 bases. Okay, the windup. You can only do 2 things: deliver or disengage. You're not allowed to step and throw to a base to attempt to pick off. Box. It's immediate dead ball. If the ball is put into play on the pitch, kill the play. Award all runners on base. The difference between this and the other rule is if the pitch is delivered and the guy hits a 3-run homer, the 3-run homer would take precedence. In Federation, that is not the case. The ball is dead, and all runners will be awarded. The good thing about this is most coaches think that the ball is dead immediately anyway, so you shouldn't fall into any scenarios there, but just keep that in mind. Scenario for that: you have a runner on first, attempted pickoff is judged a balk. The balk followed by a wild throw, no advancement beyond second base. So if he threw it into the stands, he doesn't get 2 bases. He gets where the balk is. If he throws it and he bounces and goes into the outfield and he scores, still gets second base. The balk takes precedence. A legal pitch. No runners, immediate dead ball, award a ball. Runners on, immediate dead ball, call the balk, and advance the runners a base. So remember, an illegal pitch is really only with nobody on base. An illegal pitch with runners on is a balk. Hidden ball trick. It is a balk if a runner or runners are on base and the pitcher, while he is not touching the pitcher's plate, makes any movement naturally associated with his with his pitch, or he places his feet on or astride the pitcher's plate, or positions himself within approximately 5 feet of the pitcher's plate without having the ball. Pitch counts. We don't do much in this scenario. This is a rule for coaches and teams. If the limit is hit during the at-bat, the pitcher may finish the pitching to that batter. If an opposing coach comes out to you and says he's hit his limit, he needs to come out, and you're in the middle of the count, you say no, he may finish the at-bat. It's up to the defensive coach to take him out or not, but he does not have to. That is your only enforcement in this scenario. You will do no tracking. We do not count pitches. We don't even pretend to count pitches. And we would not handle any issues or penalties. The only action we have is to make sure that they are connecting on the tracking numbers. Okay, the first to third feint move is back. It's been gone for a while. Everyone started to eliminate it, and it is now back. One thing you just need to remember, it needs to be a guy in third if that to happen. The next rule we're going to go over is the time limit to deliver a pitch. The time limit rule is enforced with or without runners on base. Failing to pitch or make or attempt to play, including a legal feint, within 20 seconds after he has received the ball. The penalty of that is it's a awarded ball to the batter. With a runner on first and the batter in the batter's box, the pitcher steps back off the pitcher's plate after having the ball for 18 seconds. The pitcher is required to pitch or make an attempt or feint within 20 seconds. Stepping backward off the pitcher's plate can be considered part of a feint if, in the umpire's judgment, there is accompanying action. However, if this is not the case, a ball shall be credited to the batter. So it is your judgment, late in the count, in the time count, if they are making an action with the ball. Don't get in the habit of using them stepping off as a feint because it will cause problems. Just, be forceful with it when you make that decision. It is your discretion. Utilize it correctly. Legal and illegal slides, force play slide rule, must slide within reach of a base with hand or foot, but not in the path toward the defender, except straight in. No rolling or pop-up slides into fielder, no slide through the base to contact defender except at home, no raised leg above defender's knee, no slashing or kicking, no malicious contact with the fielder. On force plays, must slide indirect between the lines. This is basically rules that we do know. The two things you do want to remember are the two diagrams on the right, the illegal pop-up slide and sliding through and contacting the defender. Must slide or attempt to avoid. There is no requirement to slide, but the runner must execute a legal slide or otherwise attempt to avoid contact with a defender or otherwise altering the play of the defender. On a force play, maybe 2 outs on a violation. So this is mostly the catcher's play at the play rule. There's no requirement to slide, but there is requirement to avoid contact / collision. Batter runner intentionally interferes with a potential double play. If a batter runner intentionally interferes with a potential double play, he or she is out, and so is the other runner who would most likely have been played against. If the umpire is not sure who would have been played against, the runner of furthest advanced should be the second out. So you're always getting 2 outs in this play. That's one thing to be extremely important of. This is your textbook double play interference. Now, with runners on first and second or bases loaded, and the middle infielder doesn't make a play, you're not sure where he was going to go, if he was going to tag second and head over to third with the ball, and you're not sure, the one that's furthest along is out. So it's the runner at third or the runner at home. So keep that in mind. Malicious contact with defenders and base coaches being touched by a ball while in fair territory. With regards to the defender, the malicious contact, runner is out. If it's egregious, you can toss him. Pretty much what we do now. If a thrown live ball unintentionally touches a base coach in foul territory, or a pitched or thrown ball touches an umpire, the ball is live and in play. If the coach is judged by the umpire to have interfered intentionally with the thrown ball or interferes in fair territory, the interference penalty is invoked. The ball is dead immediately and the runner is out. The batter runner or runner may be out as in 741, 842G. Other runners return as in 828. You're not going to see this a lot. Most of touches by a base coach are intentional, and they're pretty good about getting out of the way. I've never seen an assistant coach intentionally interfere or pick up a ball while it was in play. So this is what you would do if that did happen. Courtesy runners. This is new for all of us. Can get confusing, but if you jot things down, it's actually pretty easy. So the Courtesy runner is allowed at any time for pitcher or catcher, and the runner is tied to position he runs for. A given runner may not run for both the pitcher and the catcher. Anyone who's been in the game may not be a runner. Runner may not be a sub in the same half inning in which he courtesy runs. So, for example, 5th inning, pitcher leads off with a double. We do a courtesy runner for that pitcher, and they bat around twice, and they're scoring. They're scoring 8-9 runs. Now you want to put that courtesy runner in the game. You can't do that until that half inning is over and the team is on defense. So we will be keeping track of that. And then when he goes into the defensive part of the inning, he can go back into the game. Courtesy runners need to be reported as such. Failure to do so makes them a normal substitute. This is very important. When you do see it, ask. They may not tell you. You ask, hey coach, is this a courtesy runner? If it is not reported, it is now no longer a courtesy runner, but it is a pinch runner. And now you have to re-enter the pitcher or catcher, for example, and then that substitute is dead. Can no longer enter the game as a player or as a courtesy runner. So, just do your due diligence. Make sure you are, making sure that they're courtesy runners. Umpires need to record courtesy runners on a lineup card. Just jot them down or put something next to their name. You should get a lineup card with everybody in the game's name and numbers, including substitutions. You just check it off. Once a player is a courtesy runner for a position, he can only continue to courtesy runner for a player in that particular position. He's not tied to the player. He is tied to the position. So if he courtesy runs for the pitcher, he can only courtesy run for the pitcher, whoever that pitcher is. Same thing goes for the catcher. Diving over a defender. Runner is out if he dives over a defender who is standing or kneeling, but ball remains live. However, if a defender is laying down on the ground, the runner can, jump over them. Jumping or leaping over a fielder supersedes any obstruction. This is basically a safety rule. If the guy is kneeling, they're protecting the catcher. If the guy's laying down on the ground, they're protecting the catcher and making sure that the runner doesn't, hurt themselves by tripping over them. Okay, running lane interference. Interference in the running lane invoked with any throw to the runner who violates the running lane, regardless of the quality of the throw. As you'll see in the video next, in effect, the runner is interfering with the fielder's opportunity to make the play. As you can see here, guy's clearly out of the runner's lane. The throw is awful. He may not have caught it anyway, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in this situation. We saw it in the World Series a couple years ago. So the throw does not matter. This runner would be out for runner's lane violation. Walk-off scoring. All runners, including batter running, must touch the base to which they are advancing or to which they are forced to advance. Bases loaded. Winning runs at third base. You get a base hit. The guy on first must hit second, and any other corresponding ones. The batter runner must hit first. The guy from second must hit third, and obviously the guy at third has to hit home or the run doesn't count. Last time by, if a runner correctly touches a base that was missed, either in advance or returning, the last time by, he was by the base. That last touch corrects any previous base running infractions. So it's going to be checked when was the last time he touched that base. Appeals, live and dead ball timing. Appealing the failure of a runner to touch a base, advancing or retreating, and or failure to tag up can both be either a live ball or a dead ball appeal. Live ball appeal, we know it. Step off the rubber, tell them who you're throwing to, and give the safe out call. Dead ball may be made by the manager or any defensive player, and he's just going to indicate what they're doing. So ball came in, they called time, and he looks at you and says, hey, I want to appeal this guy. That is legal and must be honored. Okay, continuing on that, if the defense wants to appeal, but another play has happened, the appeal is still allowed if the offense initiated the play. So if you're doing a live ball appeal, and the pitcher steps off and says, I want to appeal the runner leaving early on from third. And there's a guy on first, and he starts to take off because they know he left early, but they're trying to mess up the play so they don't get caught with the giving up the run. They can re-appeal if they go after that runner and try to get a force a run down or something like that, because it was initiated by the offense. Now, if he had stepped off and threw over to first and they tried to get him, then they couldn't. On game-ending plays, the defense must appeal before the umpires leave the field. Doesn't matter if all infielders have left field territory. This usually doesn't come a problem because umpires are required to stay on the field for the handshake in the MIAA. So, just know that if they come up to you and you're kind of watching kids get in line and they want to appeal, they still have that time frame. Reentry. We've been using reentry for, feels like the beginning of time. Starters may reenter once, and substitutes may not re-enter at all. A new rule for the Federation in 2020/21 is the designated hitter rule that can be used in a couple of ways. This is the 10-man, 9-man lineup. Essentially, what this rule says is that a player can hold two positions, the position they are playing defensively and the DH, meaning that if there is a defensive substitution later in the game, the DH can stay in and bat, thus creating a 10-player lineup. Also, it can stem from an official 10-player lineup that is given at ground rules, where a player is designated as a DH for a specific player. It is not known if it's specifically to the pitcher or any other position, but we'll go with any other position. Start with 9-player lineup. One player is listed as a possible DH as well. If that player is removed from the defense, they may remain as the DH. So when you're looking at this from a ground rules perspective, you want to make sure you have 9 players, what they call above the line, which is your full 9-player lineup, and then 1 player below the line in your 10-man lineup, where the DH or the player being DH for will reside. Illegal substitution is restricted to the bench for a duration of a game. If the same player re-enters, he is ejected. This is a rule where if a player is put in incorrectly, he can no longer participate in the game, and if he goes in again, he's ejected. this should really be an ejection for the coaches. However, they are punishing the player in this scenario. Injury timeouts. The injury timeout kind of stays the same, where if something happens, we wait for the ball to become in a position where there is nothing happening, and we call time and kill the play. However, if there is a medical emergency, or if in the umpire's judgment further play could jeopardize the injured player's safety, then you would call time. If the umpire suspends play for any other cause, including an award of a base after an infraction or inspection of the ball. A player or coach who is bleeding or who has an open wound shall be prohibited from participating further in the game until appropriate treatment has been administered. If medical care or treatment can be administered in a reasonable amount of time, the individual would not have to leave the game. The length of the time that is considered reasonable is umpire's judgment. The re-entry rule applies to starters. If there is any amount of blood on the uniform, it shall be changed or cleaned before that individual participates again. So it still follows our blood rule that we've always had. I think the key point here is the length of time for a judgment. Don't let it go too long, but don't rush them on the field. If you know it's going to take too long, and if you know that kid's not going to be able to play, start talking with the coaches and or medical staff and see what is needed to get the player off the field. But don't be jerks about it. No suspended games due to darkness or weather. Once it's official, it is official. The one thing here I would stress caution is if you feel you're getting towards a point where you are going to call the game for darkness, make sure you can get 6 outs in. I apologize. You can get the full 6 outs, both top and bottom of the inning, for the sole purpose of you don't want to have this revert back. I always refer to that as a little league rule, but the Federation uses it regularly, and it's just a bad situation to get yourself in. Use your best judgment. Don't start the inning, and unless you know 100% you're going to get all 6 outs. It is a tough call. It can go from bad to worse in about 2 seconds. So use your good judgment on that. I trust you guys. 10-run rule. There's a 10-run rule after 5 or 4.5 if the home team's leading. They do have what we like to call the no mas rule, which is it can end after 3 full innings if both coaches and the umpire concur. One thing I would stress in that scenario is let them come to you with it. Don't bring it up with the coaches. They may get sensitive, they may get upset, and then the next thing you know is they're all over you because you want to get out of there, and has nothing to do with how terrible their team is playing. The umpire touches or handles a live ball. The ball is dead immediately anytime the umpire handles a live ball or calls time for inspecting the ball for any other reason or gives a do not pitch signal. This one here, it's common sense. Before you go to pick up a ball or grab a ball from a player, just call time. Umpire's jurisdiction is as soon as you get into the field. No more first pitch. You are in charge the moment you step on the field, and you are there until you are in charge until you leave the field. Post-game ejections are valid. They do exist. If you've heard it and kind of joked and never believed it, it is a real thing. Post-game ejections usually happen when you're trying to leave the field, or if a call happens late and players and or coaches kind of get on the umpires, stand your ground, stay through the handshake, and get out of there. If it's a problem, find a game administrator and get the hell out of there. Don't linger just for the sake of lingering. Rectify any situation in which an umpire's discretion that was reversed had placed at either team at a disadvantage. This is just getting the call right. If you screwed up a count or whatever, just get together with your partner, or just handle it yourself if you're overturning one of your own calls. May continue with playing with only 8 players. Now, I can't stress this enough. It's continue playing with 8 players. They cannot start with 8 players. Rule 441 states that a team must have 9 players to start a game. Once the game has started, a team must have at least 8 players to finish. So they can start with 9. They have to start with 9, but they can finish with 8. If something happens where they put themselves in to an 8-player situation, when that batter comes up in the lineup, it's an automatic out. Defensive conferences. This is definitely new, and we'll definitely go over this individually at a board meeting in the future. They are given 3 conferences per game. It's no longer 2 an inning. You get 3 a game. On the 4th visit, the pitcher must be removed. And to further that, it's on the 4th and every visit after the pitcher must be removed. In extra innings, they get 1. Coaches get 1 per inning, and there's no rollovers. It's not an extra 1 per inning. It's just you get 1 per inning. And if you're going out strictly to take out the pitcher and you still haven't used your 3 conferences, that is not counted. And timeout to attend to injured player is not a charged visit. And the way to manage and police that is, if they say, I need to go talk to my player, I think he's hurt, you go out there with him. If the conversation strays away from injury, step in, say, Coach, are we doing a visit here, or are we checking on the player? And let him just make that distinction and decision from there, and that's how you police that. When is a defensive visit concluded, or when it counts? A defensive conference ends when the coach crosses the foul line returning to the dugout. If a conference is held in foul territory, it includes when the coach first starts back towards the dugout. So once they cross the foul line, if they never made it to the foul line, once he starts heading back to the dugout. The opposing team may conference at the same time and is not charged for use of a conference if that conference does not delay the game. So what that says is, if a coach talks to his pitcher, the third base coach can talk to his batter. He just needs to be ready to go once it's done. If the coach finishes his trip to the mound and he's still talking to his batter, you either say, let's go, let's move on, or I gotta charge you with a conference, and we move the game along. Game cannot be delayed. If there is an unrelated break in the action, the offensive coach may consult with his players and not be charged for a conference. The defensive coach is not allowed this courtesy as well. So unrelated, if someone's streaking the field or something to that effect, so. Offensive conferences, they get 1 an inning, and you follow the rules that we stated before. If the defense is talking to their pitchers or they're having a conference, They can meet without it counting, but they need to be done at the same time the other one is done. No game delaying. Base coaches. Either a player or a coach may occupy each coach's box, must be in uniform. Anyone on the team in uniform and not ejected may be a base coach. Disciplinary actions against coaches. This kind of follows the MIAA strike one warning. You get a verbal warning, a written warning, and then an ejection. Teams may be subject to bench warning, players subject to immediate ejection. If you give a strike one warning, that restricts the coach to the bench. Can't go coach third, nothing. Once he's restricted to the bench, he can't come out again. And then if he comes out, he is possibly going to be ejected. The bats, the non-wood bats, no more than 2 5/8 in diameter at the thickest point, not more than 36 inches in length, not weigh numerically more than 3 ounces, less than length of the bat, drop 3, be certified and labeled as meeting is the BB Core standard, has to be screened on, no stickers, have a safety grip that extends a minimum of 10 inches but not more than 18 from the handle end of the bat. A good indicator there is the width of home plate. Wood bats, no more than 2 3/4, 36 inches, no foreign substance beyond 18 inches. For all you George Brett hands, may have tape or other substance no more than 18 from the handle to the end of the bat. Catcher's mitt, any size catcher's mitt is allowed. First baseman's mitt can be used. No restriction of using first baseman mitts at any position. Safety rules for high school play, breakaway bases in second and third, and safe bases at first. Bench jockeying, everyone should be in the dugout, and keep good sportsmanship. And this is just the awards table. We'll go over this. So thank you very much. We'll be talking more about this as we get closer to the season.